Now, however, it is an absolute honor to present to you our next speaker, a profession as a data analyst engineer. Mr. Makinta is a data analyst with over 10 years comprehensive experience in data analytics across professions or professional services rather, in mining, in consumers, in entertainment industry, and a proud graduate of Boston College with a diploma in financial accounting and a certified SAP consultant. Mr. Makinta is a very passionate person about transformation and data analytics. Ladies and gentlemen, before I continue Mr. Makinta's bio rather, I would just like to alert everybody that the College of Accounting Sciences is a science on its own. So we're all here to learn, and I'm learning with you, and it is absolutely amazing. For me, it is fascinating to see people engage about numbers. I know it's not just about numbers, but about numbers and taxation and all these other terms that are new to me. But yes, Mr. Makinta, intelligent solutions and to assist organizations to achieve their data strategies and goals with focusing on actionable insight. Fellow attendees, please welcome onto our platform, our virtual platform, Mr. Martin Makinta.
All right, so yeah, I was just going through my introduction, and just to continue from that, I was just primarily saying, yes, the focus is around, financial accounting stream of profession. But now I'm bringing in, the data analytics into that same stream or the very same stream, just to see how that embeds into, the overall data analytics in organization operations across, multiple streams of professions as well, not just in the accounting and financial streams, right? And just again, a little bit of just to add to my background, I starting from high school, I was more interested in the numbers. I did what we used to call the commerce stream. Sorry to reveal my age there. And I completed accounting, maths, and economics at the time. And my aspiration then was to become an accountant, right? And yeah, hence I also went studied financial accounting, which was still sort of the path for me to study towards an accountant. But once I've completed my studies on financial accounting, so I got employment or I got some job, and I was doing, financials for my employer. But something said to me, it's not just about the numbers, right? We need more. Yes, we can see the balance sheets, the trial balance, but what does it mean? What does it say? And I think that's where I developed interest in data analytics. To take the numbers beyond just the numbers, what is the data saying? What information can we extract from the numbers? What insights can we get from there? And that's where pretty much I started to embed myself into the data analytics stream, right? Or the data analytics profession. And yeah, that's pretty much where I come from. And yeah, just without wasting much time, let's just maybe jump into what is data analytics. I think some of you may know what data analytics is, but I just want to look at some of the key principles that we apply or that we follow when we do data analysis. So it's more of looking at, okay, what has happened in what I'm seeing. Yes, I'm seeing these numbers. Most of the time when this question is primarily asked is when organizations are not seeing good numbers, if I may put it that way. What happened? Why are we seeing these numbers, right? Why are we going through this, right? And I think to just bring it home, there's been a lot of economic challenges in South Africa. For example, just before COVID, we were just coming out of a recession, and organizations were pretty much asking themselves similar questions, during the recession and post COVID, even during COVID. For that matter, what happened? Why is my organization not as operating as it used to? Why am I not getting the margins that I'm used to? All of that, right? And that is purely enabled, or how do you answer those questions? You answer those questions with data analysis, right? You start to answer what happened and why it happened, and to about what will happen now. What is the impact of what I'm seeing, right? And with the impact, it's quite severe, right? And I think we've experienced that, in our families, in our society or economies, that people lost jobs post COVID, and that has been hard, right? That is the impact. It's not just in the organization; it's beyond organizations. It's things that, executives and management in organization, we see that they struggle with to find that balance, because ultimately the core um, bottom line, if I may put it that way, for organization is to make money. But how do we now balance making money and ensuring that you also keeping people employed, and that has been a biggest challenge with the recent economic challenges that we've been facing, right? And those questions, again, um, are enabled or are supported by what comes out of data analysis or data analytics, right? And now someone may ask, but all of this is sort of retrospective, because we're asking what happened, why it happened, and all of that, right? We now talk about prescriptive, right? That is now looking into the future. Yes, we've analyzed what happened in the past. Now we look into the future to find how we're going to come out of this, how we're going to improve. That's where we look at the prescriptive analysis, right? But again, at the same time, that is still mitigating what has happened, right? And you will see, just at the top on my description there, data analysis is often done with the help of specialized systems and software. Those are enablers, right? And these enablers now have been built in such a way that, they can give us information, or all of these analysis close real time or close to real time. And by that, I mean, just to give you an example, let's say your organization is running, it's a courier company. You have 5 vehicles, and out of 5 vehicles, each vehicle has an average of 10 deliveries per week. And close to real time is when every day, or every week, you realize that no, out of my 5 vehicles, two of them actually dropped from the 10 deliveries to five, maybe four. That is close to real time, because you starting to ask these questions: what happened, and why it happened, as soon as it happens. Unlike, the traditional way of analysis was, at the end of the month or at the end of the year, when we prepare a financial statement and all of that. But now, with all these enablers, the softwares, the systems, they help us now to realize this insight close to real time. Even in a day, in an hour, I've worked on a project where logistics company, where they do analysis every hour, based on, how their fleet moves around, and where the issues are. They do analysis close to at real time. And that is the evolution as well of these softwares and technology, where we now talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence and all of that. It's just the enablers to make sure that when you do these analysis, we close to real time, or we are at real time, and that is just, you know, data analytics in a high level, principles that we follow. There's more deep dive into each principle that I'm highlighting here, which it depends on the organizations. I mean, for organizations that have now um, sort of evolved to close to real time, um, they taking advantage of, you know focusing on what will happen now. The what happened and why it happened, that comes seamless with this technology. But now you move from that, you just now moving towards, how do I mitigate this, what is the impact, as soon as it happens. So that is the evolution of analytics, data analytics, right? And just moving to the next slide. Someone may ask again why, but I think I covered a little bit more of why data analytics is quite key for organizations. But just to bring it home, um, for management and executives in organization, it helps them to make informed decisions, and these informed decisions are not thumbsucked from nowhere, or just on a paper and a pen, or just Excel sheets that you'd analyze your data, but on qualitative and quantitative um, um, information or data. You are 100% sure that you know why this has happened, and that is where you can make informed decisions without just thumb sucking why those decisions. And at the same time, we look at inefficiencies in operations. Data analytics has helped so many organizations to identify inefficiencies. Just again, using the example of a fleet company or rather a courier company, when you get to a point to pick up that two of your vehicles have dropped, you now need to drill down into, okay, fine, why? And the why will come out. For example, one of your vehicles, that is because that the driver was sick. That's why you dropped. And with that said, you start to think, okay, fine, how do I make sure that the vehicle is always on the road? It may now start to question your employment model or your operation model. You can't have five employees with five vehicles. You need to find an operating model that will ensure that your vehicles are always on the road at the same time, having sufficient employees to make sure that those vehicles are on the road. That's where inefficiencies will be picked up and addressed, with data analytics, and also looking at competitive advantage. Not operating in isolation. There's and again, using courier companies as an example, there's a number of them, thousands of courier companies in the market. Um, there's technologies that now courier companies uses. I was giving an example with one of the logistics company that we've seen that they're doing analysis at close to real time, and one of the interesting thing is there was truck protest or truck um, um, vandalization a couple of months, and I think it started actually from last year. That company that does analysis close to real time, they were able to pick it up to say, I have 5 trucks on N3 going to Durban stuck, and they 10 hours late. That is real time, and that's how you gain competitive advantage, because already by that you can let your customers, you can make plans or find alternative way to get your services to your customers, and that's how you gain competitive advantage when you have a company that doesn't have close to real time or real time analysis, because they will only find out 5 days later or later in the evening that the truck didn't make it to the delivery point, one of those things. And that's where we highlighting competitive advantage as an enabler for your business as well. And also when we look at managing risks, these are primarily outside factors that organizations don't have control over. um, for example, regulation changes, and just with that, it could be where now the labor department has come forward and say, for every hour you're in the industry, for example, in the mining industry, your employees cannot work over this many hours of overtime, and because your operations was used to not having a threshold on overtime, it's going to hamper your production, and that's a risk to your business ultimately. But because you have to comply and abide to the new regulation, you can manage this upfront when you use data analysis, because you can go into your data and say, fine, I used to do this many hours over time, but now the regulator is saying I need to reduce it to this much. Already with that, you have in your hand how much production you're going to have going forward as compared to the past. And that's how you can manage the risk to start developing or coming up with strategies that will enable your business to function and still be sustainable in your margins, and keeping the doors open, right? And just the last one is just around customer experience. Ultimately, for every product and service, there's someone who's consuming that. And you need to understand how your customers are receiving these products. I mean, you will have happy customers, you'll have not so happy customers. You need to know that, and you need to know why, particularly around why my customers are not happy, which ultimately will improve your services. And there's a number of things why we're not happy with certain services, and some organizations are not interested to know why, and that actually puts them on the back foot of being competitive and having um, a portion of the clientele that will sustain their business. And with understanding your customer experience from consuming your product services, you can improve your delivery or your product and services delivery to your customer as well. So that is why the benefit around I'm sorry, improving customer experience is always key as well from this. But again, the benefits of this, each organization or each industry may define what's suited to them, but these are the key ones across industries, not just specific to any industry in the market, right? And now maybe let's just bring it home a bit into data analytics in financial accounting, how this also comes into play when we look into financial accounting or professions around accountants and all of that. Um, I've worked on a project where we were preparing information, or actually we built a solution for a client to monitor what we will say in internal audit controls. And this is purely just to ensure that when the external auditors come, you have your ducks in a row, right? And this this process or the internal audit controls solution has actually evolved. Back in the days, this process would be performed just before the external auditors come in. Primarily towards the end of the financial year. But it has evolved. It has evolved in a way that organizations are now performing internal audit controls on a quarterly basis, even on a monthly basis, for that matter, right? And it helps organizations to achieve clean audit because you are able to pick up inefficiencies or deviations from your internal processes quite earlier before the external auditor comes in. And the other thing with the technology or the new technology that we are seeing, you are again able to realize these deviations at real time. For example, just taking procure to pay process, you would in an organization you would raise purchase requisition, PO to goods received, and then invoice and all of that. If there's any deviation in that whole process, the new applications, the new software, or alerts you as and when it happens at real time. As soon as someone processes a transaction and there's a deviation, there's softwares and systems that provides that real time, and that's key to the financial sector or the financial professions rather, to have that information on site. And I mean, if I'm talking to an internal auditor at this point, yeah, so this is something that will be very very interesting to them and key for them to have. And that is just one example that I'm talking to primarily on the accounting side of things, right? And the other thing is we have regulations that continuously changes, right? Um, you can also, and I think I spoke to this about from a labor perspective, but from a finance regulatory perspective, for example, how you report your financials and what needs to be included in your financials, all of that. Once the regulation is it's tabled, obviously it doesn't go to live immediately. You have reviews and all of that. But once you have sight of that, you start to do analysis. What will be the impact from my finance perspective? What will be things that I need to look into? Already by that, from a finance perspective, you can start to prepare organizations to make sure that they will one comply to that, and what the impact means to the organization itself, right? And yeah, that's pretty much how the data analytics as well is embedded or can be embedded in your organization from a financial perspective or from a financial view, right? And I know, sorry, I've 1 minute over. Just on data analytics future, it's not the future anymore. It's now. So a lot of organization, a lot of professions used to ask this question in the past: what is the future of data analytics? But now we need to be in a position to assist organizations, or organization needs to be in a position to now realize the value of data analytics in every stream. And someone may now ask, okay, how do I go about, um, embedding data analytics in my profession as an accountant, as a lawyer, as a doctor, as a baker? You have data in your business either way. And that is key to understand what is it that I need to analyze. And once you have that understanding, you are able to go and empower yourself as a profession to say, this is how I'm going to embed data analytics into my profession. For example, I mean, I've given examples around the accounting stream or the finance stream. On how you go about doing those analytics. And as an individual, over and above your for example, accountant qualification, there are certifications and courses that you can complete to, again, supplement your profession or your qualification with data analytics. And again, it has to be relevant to your profession or how you want to evolve your career on that. So with that said, I just want to pause there. I know I'm over time. I just to respect everyone's time, maybe I can take some few questions.
Hello, I would like to ask if there is a specific qualification for being a data analyst. Mr. Makinta, please do answer this question.
Yes, there are qualifications across tertiary institutions, but again, I think for me, what's key, primarily around being qualified. Um, if you are going to supplement your qualification with data analyst, you need to be clear on what is it is required in your profession, so that you can identify the exact analysis that you need to be focused on. But if you're going full stream on data analytics, there are qualifications dedicated to that, which definitely go into much details on that. And I think in the past it used to be, actually still now, it's still under the IT stream of studies. That's where you will find the data analytics part of it. Yeah.
I was late. Did you talk about Psycha? So, Mr. Makinta, if you could just kindly, briefly just attend to that question from Sipilisiwe, and thank you for that question.
SAICA, I believe it's South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. I stand to be corrected. I've not necessarily, but I know from most of the accountants that I've actually engaged with, they highlighting that SAICA is in a process to ensure that data analytics is also one of the key skills accountants needs to embed themselves into. I'm not so sure of the details, but I'm happy to find out from my colleagues, the accountants, primarily just on the SAICA initiatives on data analytics initiatives.
What is the difference between computer science and data analysis? Mr. Makinta?
Yeah, hundreds. Computer science is primarily just focusing on, and I think I've kind of covered this. It's focusing primarily on software engineering, which is where we get individuals to build and produce these softwares I was referring to that we use to perform our data analysis. For example, there's Microsoft Power BI. When you studied computer science, you can develop such a tool. And once that tool is developed, you enable us as data analytics to perform our data analysis. So it's not necessarily what I would say competing qualifications, but one supplement the other, which again, computer science is to build those softwares and tools to enable data analysis.